So if you've been following the conservative discourse for the past few months, then first, I am incredibly sorry for your pain. You might have noticed that the recent conservative cancel culture train has been centered around the LGBT. Nothing new, but this time they are centering things around the LGBT and schools. They are saying that teachers who talk about LGBT issues in school are instead teaching your kids about dangerous debauchery acts and sodomy. This book about two male penguins raising a child apparently has a graphic sex scene in it. Now you can imagine my disappointment when I read the book and couldn't find anything. But now they're pretty much saying that any sort of LGBT support network is some way and somehow grooming your kids. More specifically this time, a suicide hotline. The Trevor Project is a non-profit organization focused on the suicide prevention of LGBT youths, and it has recently gotten the conservatives playing the pedophile card like it's Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now, being a former abuse victim myself, I am very invested in stopping child abuse, so I decided to look into this matter. And before I get to all the Republican talking points, something interesting I found was this list. An entire abridged list of Republican politicians that are child molesters. So to keep that in mind, I'm gonna keep that list as B-roll. So what's got the conservatives all in a tussle is that the Trevor Project has a strict policy of confidentiality. What goes on in that phone call is between the caller and whoever is on the other end of the phone. And conservatives are upset because they treat the children like objects. I mean, they want to know what's going on the other side of that phone call. I mean, surely if it's nothing nefarious on the other end, they got nothing to hide, right? Let's do a hypothetical and imagine a child is being abused by their parent. The parent in question says that if the child reports to an authority of some kind, they will kill them. The child is then conversing with the authorities and doing everything they can to convict their parent, but that process takes a long time, and during which time they cannot tell their parent because they're afraid for their safety. Perfectly justifiable fear for their safety is the reason why all the Trevor Project calls are confidential. Safety. The best thing that can happen if someone is out of the closet is it turns out everyone in their family loves and accepts you. The worst thing that could happen is you die. And if you aren't the victim of a grisly hate crime, then you are either going to be thrown out of the house and left homeless by your bigoted parents, abused by your bigoted parents, or sent to conversion therapy and be abused over there. Depression among LGBT youths, and by extension suicide, is primarily caused by a feeling that they will not be accepted with their sexual orientation. So if an LGBT person is having suicidal thoughts, they are most likely going to be at the receiving end of abuse if they're called out, so that confidentiality is very important for their own safety. Okay, says the hypothetical person, that's reasonable enough, but I'm not sure how I feel about some grown person talking about sex with a minor over the phone. Well, the good news is they're probably not. The word sexual orientation does not refer to just sex, it also refers to romance. A person could be willing to fall in love with a man or fall in love with a woman and not have any sexual interest in either and be absolutely abstinent. That is still a sexual orientation. All that is being taught is that some people have two dads and some people have two moms and that's okay. They're not going to be taught the, the Karma Sutra or whatever conservatives think's going on. But going back to the Trevor Project for a second, there's actually one big tell that this is all a red herring and it actually comes from a conservative. This is James Lindsay, one of the three authors of the Grievous Study, an anti-progressive academic paper that turned out to be an absolute hoax. He is not only a dishonest liar, but he is a caught dishonest liar. And he had this amazing take to say.
Only a matter of time until solid evidence of serious wrongdoing emerges regarding the Trevor Project. They don't mobilize to protect anything unless there's something really bad going on there that they don't want anyone to find out. Mark my words.
Now, James here has done me a huge favor because he let loose something very interesting. He admitted there is no evidence. The idea that the Trevor Project is doing anything wrong is based entirely on preconceived notions and biased rationale. Or perhaps a more accurate term is these people are liars. But now that we're done with that, I'd like to draw our attention back to the list of names. There are over 70 names in that list, and now for the big shocker, that list was made back in 2006. There is now a list of almost 800 incidents of Republicans abusing their power, and while not all of them are child predation, it doesn't take long to find cases that are. And of course we have all the high-profile cases such as Matt Gaetz and a bunch of former Trump aides. This is Senator Anthony Bouchard. He is trying to unseat Liz Cheney. You know, Liz Cheney, the senator who spoke the fact that Trump lost the election. In 2021, he bragged openly about how he impregnated a 14-year-old girl when he was legally an adult. Anthony Bouchard then married the girl when she was 15, broke up with her, and then the girl killed herself at age 20. Look, I'm trying to keep things professional here, but what the fuck? So, how do you think the senator who openly bragged about child marriage and predation is polling? Well, according to the Republican activist straw poll, he's winning. Imagine that. For all their talk about groomers, Republicans seem not to care when their own does it. But honestly, if you know what I know, this shouldn't be surprising. Did you know that in the US there is a legal loophole that you can marry someone under the age of 18 for religious reasons? Between 2000 and 2018, this happened in the US nearly 300,000 times. Now, the finer details on these statistics are very, very revealing. These are the top 10 states per capita that engage in child marriage. You might have noticed that 9 of these are die-hard red states. And the state with the most child marriage overall by raw numbers is Texas. 41,774. Nearly double second place, because you know everything's bigger in Texas. Republican politicians are child groomers, and Republican voters are child groomers. And now the American Pedophile Party wants to convince you that your child is in danger of LGBTQ+ people. Let me just spell it out for you. I'd rather have a gay guy look after any kid at all than a conservative. Period. Republicans like to fuck kids. And if this video gets any notoriety at all, which is, who can say, there's going to be one commenter that says, "Oh, I'm a Republican, and I don't support child predation." Well, congratulations, my hypothetical person. You know everything I know about the Republican Party now, and you still thought to yourself, yes, I want to label myself as the member of the American Pedophile Party. That just tells me all I need to know, doesn't it?